Hi, my name's Lee Matthews and I'm a physiotherapist, and this is Pilates Rehab Relax. So don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for all of my latest content. So today I'm going to guide you through the second step on our Rehab Staircase. So this is a graded exercise program and it's aimed at getting people better with their fitness, and it might help you if you've been recovering from some sort of illness or if you're just trying to build up your general exercise tolerance so you can get through the day a little bit easier. So we know that by doing some really gentle exercises, that actually some of the things you might be struggling with, like getting out of a chair or getting up the stairs or even just walking or standing for a few minutes, can actually become easier, because we know that there's muscles that are important that help us to do those tasks. So we're going to go gentle. This is a little and often approach, and I'm going to guide you through 10 exercises, and each of those are going to be for 1 minute. But because some of you might be building up a little bit more gently, I'll count you out at the 30-second point, and it might be for some of you just start by doing 30 seconds and build on it, and then you can always progress to 45 seconds or the full minute. So you work at your ability. I don't mind you feeling a few aches as you're going with muscles working, but it shouldn't be leaving you really sore afterwards. And if you find that you get breathless when you're doing activities, with these exercises, I don't mind you getting lightly breathless, but you should still be able to talk and you should be able to speak and in full sentences. So if you're finding that you're really puffed out, it might be you're working a bit too hard and you just need to go a little bit more gently. So have a go, see how you find it, and hopefully you'll get some benefit from it. So I'm going to time them with my mobile phone as we go through. And the first of our exercises we're going to do is ankle pumps. So you need to be sat in a chair for all of these. Nearly all of these exercises will be in seated. It needs to be a firm chair. A sofa's too soft, so it's got to be something like a dining room chair. And it can't be a chair with wheels on it either. So if it is, that's not going to be safe. And ideally it wants to be one where your feet touch the floor as well. So it might be you're even sat forwards on the chair to achieve that. But have a little look around the house and make sure you've got a safe space around you so you don't knock over any furniture or hurt yourself. So for the ankle pumps, what we're going to do, feet flat on the floor, and I'm going to lift up my heels using my calf muscles for this one, and then I'm going to lift up the fronts of my feet, and we're going to just do that repeatedly. So you work at your pace. I'll start with a stopwatch and off we go. So if you do have a bad ankle on one side, it might be you just do it really gently on one foot compared to the other. But again, you work at your speed, you work at your pace and your range of movement. And sometimes you can get pops and creaks when we're exercising, and I certainly feel like the muscles are working. So we're approaching the 30-second point now. There we go. So that's 30 seconds. So you can stop and wait if you're just doing the 30, but for those of you doing the full minute, hang in there and keep on going. So these are important muscles when we're walking, and that lifting the toes up is a really useful thing as well, because when we're walking along, you know, it's those muscles that help our feet to clear things like rugs and bits sticking out of the pavement. Nearly there. There you go. So that was our first exercise, ankle pumps. I'm going to sit back in the chair so that my back is being supported by it. And the next exercise is for our quadriceps muscle, the muscle on the front of our thigh, and it's called inner range quads. So we're going to go up, hold for a few seconds, toes towards you, straightening that knee as much as you can. We hold for a few seconds and then do the same on the other side. So I'll start my stopwatch and we'll get going, and we're off. So there we go. Tense up for a few seconds. You should feel that muscle going quite firm on the front of your thigh there. And again, this is another good one to help us with our standing and our walking. So we're nearly at 30 seconds, not quite. There you go. So that's 30 seconds. And if you're doing the full minute, you keep on going, hang in there. We're going to get there together. Yeah, so we just go up, hold for a few seconds, and down again. And if your knee doesn't quite straighten, then you just work with what you can tolerate, you know. We all come in different shapes and sizes, don't we? There we go. So that was our second exercise, which was targeted at our thigh muscles. We're now going to work a little bit higher up on our tummy muscles on our back. So I'm going to turn on the chair slightly, so I'm sideways. And what I'm looking to do with this one is a gentle pelvic tilt. So I'm going to slouch in the chair, and when I slouch, I want you to try and suck in your tummy muscles, so your belly button's coming in towards your back there, and that's going to help to engage those abdominals. And then we're going to go back up again. So a little bit of a slouch, suck in those tummy muscles like we're tensing them up, and then back up tall. So let me start the stopwatch, and we're off. So again, slouch, tense, and back up. Slouch, tense, and back up. And you work at your pace with this, yeah? So we go into a little tilt of our pelvis, tense up, and then up. And if you can hear my chair creaking, I promise that's not me. There we go. So that's 30 seconds, but if you're doing the 4 minute, keep on going. So I slouch, tense up those tummy muscles, and then back up tall again. Slouch, tense up the tummy, and up tall. Slouch, tense. So it's a little bit like when we do our Pilates exercise, how we engage the core there. And again, there you go. And that was our minute of doing pelvic tilting. So we're now going to move on to doing some upper limb stuff. We're going to make some circles with our arms. And what I'm going to do is another Pilates move here, but I'm going to bring myself so my arms go up to the ceiling and then out to the side. So it's a bit like I've got a piece of chalk in each hand and I'm making a really big circle there. And it is a Pilates move. If you've not got great shoulders, or if you've got one bad shoulder, it might either be that you do much smaller circles, so you just go up to shoulder height and make that circle, or it might even be that you just do the movement on one side if it's particularly sore there. So work at your level of ability, but yeah, you can either do smaller circles, or you could even just do a shorter lever length by bending at the elbow there. So let me get started with the timer. There we go, so big breath in, and out. So I'm synchronizing it with my breathing as well. Nearly at half a minute. There we go. So that's 30 seconds. And again, you work at your pace. But the aim of these exercises is to leave no rock unturned and to try and make sure that all of our arms and legs and our back all get a little gentle move about, and we work some of those muscles as well. There you go, saved by the bell. That's 1 minute again there. So that was doing our arm circles. Now what we're going to do is move back to our legs again, and I'm going to do some marching. So your options are just either marching with the legs, which is fine. If you get breathless very easily, then just stick to doing it with the legs. But if you find that you're up for the challenge, then we can do it with our arms as well. So marching in the chair is our next one. So ready and go. And again, you work at your pace. It might be you go gently, you might be trying to do it twice as fast as that, but you find a pace that's right for you and stick with it. Remember, you can always come back to these, and I would much rather know you've done them gently and survived than made yourself really sore and then just not wanting to exercise ever again. So I'm sat away from the back of the chair here as well. There you go, that's 30 seconds. So one option that again might make it a little easier is if you were sat leaning against the backrest through the exercise. But if you're able to sit independently, you're going to be using a lot more muscles to achieve this position. And we can make this harder still if you've got the arms up, right up over shoulder height, so it's putting more of a cardio effort on you. But you work at your pace. There you go. And that was 1 minute of marching. So we're halfway through already. Now we're going to work our arms slightly with this. So I'm going to turn sideways onto you again. And what I'm looking for is I'm going to sit on the front of the chair and I'm going to bend at the elbows and then push up and straighten those arms. So this time, as I push up, I'm tensing the muscles on the top of the arm there. So this is a good one for making sure you don't get bingo wings. So I'll start the timer and here we go. So bend at the elbows and then push up nice and tall through those arms, tensing the upper arm, straightening at the elbow. And you can either have your hands resting on the side of the chair there. You can grip with the hands in another position if you feel it's more comfortable. So these are useful muscles for moving around in the bed, and also if we need to help ourselves up out of a chair, we need these muscles to push as well. So we've gone past the half a minute point. Nearly there, guys. Hang in there. Just a few more seconds. There you go. And that was 1 minute of pushing up through the chair. So we're going to move on to sitting to standing now. This is one of the few things that we actually stand out of the chair. So at home, you might well have a table in front of you while you're doing this exercise. If you're not sure with your balance, definitely have some support in front of you. Good technique for sitting to standing is our bottom has to be wriggled forwards in the chair. It's a lot easier that way. Feet flat on the floor, and ideally your ankles directly under the knees. Biomechanically, it's a lot easier to stand up if we bring our weight forward so our nose comes over our toes. So we're going to repeat good patterns of movement with our exercises, because that's what we're trying to improve, is how we're moving at home. You can use your arms either on the armrest of your chair, on the seat, on the knees, but what you mustn't do is pull yourself up from anything in front of you. It's not safe, it's not a good way of going about it, and it's building on a not a great foundation, and we're trying to build good patterns of movement in a nice, safe and effective way. So bottoms on the edge of the chair, sit to stand, here we go. And obviously the way of making this slightly more challenging is if you don't use your hands at all. So you could have your hands across your chest if you really fancy the challenge with this one. The higher the chair is, the easier the exercise is going to be as well. Nearly at 30 seconds. There you go. So that's the 30-second mark, but the rest of you keep on going. So you work at your pace and you do what you're able to achieve. So you might only have done a couple of these, and that's absolutely fine. This is probably the most challenging of all the exercises that we're going to do today. So if you've done a minute, you've done yourself proud. Just a few more seconds. There we go. So that was 1 minute of sitting to standing. So what we're now going to do is an exercise for the muscles on the side of our hip. So I'm going to have my bottom, again, right on the front of the chair here. And what I'm going to do is take a nice straight leg out in front of me and tap the heel out to the side and then bring it back in again. And I'm going to do half a minute on one side, and then I'm going to do half a minute on the other side. Again, you might have really good mobility with your hip on one side and not so great on the other. So you work with what you can tolerate. So let's get this timer on the go and go. And notice that I'm tapping the heel. What I'm not doing is scuffing it across the floor there, because we don't want to break down our heel. How does that feel? Can you feel that working in the muscle there? Yeah, I certainly can. So we're nearly at the 30-second point. I'll count you in. There you go. Right, so swap over to the other side, straighten out that other leg, and the same again on the opposite side. There we go, the timer's going. So can you see that this might be a useful muscle to build, because when we go to get into the car, or if we go to get into bed, we need to be able to lift and move that leg across as well, don't we? So it's working our hip abductors. There we go. And that's our minute done of the hip exercise. Right, what we're now going to do, if that's all right, is we're going to do an exercise called hundreds. So I can move forward a little bit for this one. And what I'm looking to try and do is some brisk movements out to the side, a bit like I've got a drum either side of me that I'm trying to bang. So I sit up nice and tall. The easier way of doing this is with your back sat against the backrest. The slightly more challenging way would be sat up and away from the backrest of the chair, and that's what I've done for this one here. So I'll start the timer and we're off. So this is another Pilates exercise, and while we're doing this we should be trying to just draw the tummy muscles in slightly, and it's a quick oscillation because we're having to stabilise and relax. And again, so hundreds, the aim is you do 25 very brisk oscillations, and you do about 4 sets of them. And again, and while I'm doing this, I'm having to stabilise my whole body. Right, so that's half a minute. The rest of you keep on going there. And relax. So I draw my tummy in as I'm doing this, and it gives me that little bit of stability. And just a few more. I think I'm wobbling around like a jelly as I do this. I should be perfectly still. And there you go. And that was our minute of doing hundreds. So we've got one exercise left to do, and what we're going to do with this one, I'm going to lift up my knee and I'm going to bring my elbow to the opposite side. So it's actually going to target some of the muscles in my tummy, what we call our obliques. So there you go, I'm going to move one side and then the other. Let me start the stopwatch, and we're off. This is a little bit like the marching that we did earlier, but we're adding that little bit of a twist as we go there, and in doing so it's going to give us some more challenge to our muscles, our obliques. So this deep corset of muscle that we've been working with some of the exercises, it gives support to our back. And even with things like wear and tear changes, we know that those muscles are really, really important because they help us to stand and to move. Right, that's half a minute. So if you're only doing the 30 seconds, you can stop there, and the rest of you keep on going. And for some of you, it might be you're not going as far as this. You know, you might just literally be doing a little lift and a twist, and that will still work those muscles, you'll be pleased to know. But again, you work at your level of ability. Nearly there. That's it. Well, how was that? How did it feel? I hope you're okay. If you found it was easy, it might be, if you're doing the 4 minute and it was no challenge at all, that you're ready for step 3 of the rehab staircase. But if it was still a challenge, maybe build up to the 4 minute, and when you feel more comfortable, then progress. Don't ever feel that you've got to rush to make everything more challenging. And it might even be that you build up just a couple of the exercises at a time, so that eventually you get to the 4 minute of all of them, but it's not too much of a shock when you've made that increase in difficulty. So I hope you're feeling better for it. If you found it was okay, other options you could look at would be the 5 gentle Pilates exercises video in seated, or even a full Pilates class in seated at a very gentle pace, which would be very comparable to what we've just done here. So I hope it was of help, and look forward to seeing you soon.